I gotta say is I love a plasma cutter in the morning. It's kind of like Colonel Kilgore in Apocalypse Now. He loved the smell of napalm. I love the plasma cutter because God knows I can't cut straight with a hacksaw or a regular wood saw. So I got to get serious about it. Hey, everybody, Lou Santiago here. And this is another episode of Three Lefts Don't Make a Right. John and Ralph are in the wings. So we're going to get going on this bad boy and make it happen because Ralph has got some cool stuff to tell you. And you know what? John's going to throw in some stuff too. Not to mention, I'm just going to wing it like I always do. So let's get going. We're going to do a commercial and then we're back with Ralph from RMD.
Ever wonder what happened to your favorite Hollywood stars? Nice car. Some are screen legends.
Come on, boy, let's go. Prove it.
Some made history.
Man, just throw it out the window.
Going up. One thing's for sure.
How much for the car?
They all have more to tell.
What you talking? That's a Cadillac.
Road trip with me, Lou Santiago, as I hunt down these iconic cars.
Car's actually stolen. My kids said, Dad, you're not going to believe what's over here.
And take you behind the scenes to get the story behind the stories.
I'm gonna have the car do the same thing. Pow, bang, wow.
From the designers who built them, the stars that drove them, and the lucky motherfuckers who stumbled across them. Where was his car when you found it?
3 shots were fired at President Kennedy's motorcade
As the Lincoln and Kennedy was killed in. You're not gonna believe some of this stuff.
John! What's it? Ralph!
Ralph.
Dude, love the hat.
Oh, come on, I always gotta rock the hat.
Dude, I may have to break off at the next commercial break and get a hat. I got a cool hat. I got some cool hats.
My Gore and Bros hat, man. This is actually it remind me to tell you a little bit about what's happening with this hat later on. So that'd be awesome.
Dude, do it right now because we're gonna go way back in the Wayback Time Machine and talk about when you were 4 years old in Juarez, Mexico. So tell us about the hat right now. Let's hear it. Come on.
So I've been rocking Gore and Bros for a long time, and it was actually really cool when they reached out to me. And we're collabing right now. You're gonna have a Ralph Holguin exclusive hat that will be available, to all the customers. And I mean, that's just exciting. I mean, when you talk about my history and to be able to not only rock a hat and have sponsors that love that style, but to be able to design one. So the whole concept is around a vehicle. So we will be building a vehicle simultaneously building the hat. And we're talking about how those intertwine and how fashion and automobiles intertwine. So I love that. So
that is cool, man. That's really cool.
Yeah.
I actually, when I first went in the Navy, you go to boot camp. I went in San Diego, and then I went to Port Hueneme, California, where all the Seabees are. It's the West Coast home of the Seabees.
Yeah.
And they did a trip, MWR, Morale, Welfare, and Recreation. We did a trip to Disneyland, and I bought a Mad Hatter's top hat in 1981, and I still have it.
Dang.
But the hat band is just rotted. I got to find someone to repair it. But dude, nobody does that anymore.
Yeah,
the hat's mint, but it's just old. But yeah,
that's a craft, and that's why this story is so cool, right? So. We're really looking at the colors and why we choose certain tones. And then as we jump into interiors, what type of details do we put? Why does the piping matter, right? How is the inside interlaid? So there's so much craft that goes into designing and building a hat. And then obviously, how does it marry this automotive kind of love and design process? So we talked about pretty much dissecting that material as we're building the car and at the same time. And intertwining them, which we think it's going to be an amazing story. So I probably, gave out too much information, but we're here. What are you going to do?
Yeah. Just remember, black, 7 3/4, I think it is.
I got
and
you.
I will rock it.
I think I'm 7 5/8.
I'll talk to my peeps at Gore and Bros, and I'm sure they'll send you a hat. So, yeah.
I really love hats. And I always have, but I just never had a reason to really wear them.
Look at that. Look at
Wow,
that.
that's
quality.
What a gorgeous hat, man.
And then obviously it goes with that beautiful
Right.
55 we have behind us. So, it's all perfect.
So it's so cool. All right, so let's jump in a Wayback Machine. John, talk to Ralph about Juarez, Mexico.
Why do you tell him?
Ask him the question, man. Come on, we're going here. Ralph is like, these guys.
Listen, let me start off. I met Ralph probably in 18 at Barrett Jackson.
Yeah.
We were on stage and we were talking. You ran what, about 4 cars across the block, Ralph? 3 or 4 cars that year, your truck,
right.
Insanity and a few. It was me and Mike from Wicked Flow. After the auction, Linda and I are leaving. It's dark. I mean, it must have been 8 or 9 o'clock. And out of nowhere, Ralph pops up, scares the shit out of me. He says, hey, he goes, I hear you're looking for a Lincoln. I said, yeah, I'm looking for a Lincoln. He says, I'll build you one. So we started talking Lincolns. And I think, Ralph, was it not the year before or so you had your 62 on the block, the green one?
Yeah, man.
Somewhere around there. And it was sharp as shit.
Don't remind me of that day.
I gotta tell you, when we were talking back and forth, I kicked myself in the ass today because I built a 62. I sent you the pictures when I was picking it up. And Ralph, when I found the car and I'm asking him, what do you think? Ralph goes, you don't buy it, I'll buy it. I said, shit, I got to get on it.
Yeah.
And he says, I'll pick it up. Where is it? He kept hitting me. Where is it? Where is it? I'm like, slow down. So I bought this car, but I kicked myself in the ass after the money that I spent on mine.
Yeah.
When we were talking numbers, I should have got Ralph to build the car.
And
honestly.
see, you know what? Ralph, that's why I said John Stark. That's why. Because I knew there was a story.
Yeah.
So, and I got to tell you, and I'm not bullshitting. Ralph is an upbeat, positive guy. Just makes it happen. He's a good dude. I've never seen him, talk to him, hit him up, and it's depressing, negative, anything. And I think when you hear his story, you'll see how that's paid off for him.
You've caught me on the good days, John. No,
I'm telling you. No, I talked to Ed too. I talked to Ed. Ed said same thing. He said that he was telling you he was having a bad day, and you were like, "Listen, roll past it. Look at the bright side. Get on the other side of things and look at it." So it's you know what, you're helping him out, and I see it too. Seriously.
You gotta manifest greatness, bro. It ain't gonna happen. It ain't gonna knock on your door. You gotta make it. That's why when we talked about, when we initially started to develop like Don't Dream It, Build It, it was this whole mantra of the way that you approach life, right? So it wasn't about like, oh, go pay for it or all that stuff. It's just about how you build it really builds all these fundamentals for you in life. And it could apply to anything. And that's why, we'd love that, right? Because I really, truly believe and embody what that means.
That's awesome.
Ralph, I think it's important because everybody, when we have guests on, the one thing Lou and I have learned is not to assume that people know or don't know. So we get into the details.
Yeah.
And most people, of course, recognize you and pick up on you when you were on TV.
Yeah.
And they think that's the beginning of life for you. But there's a whole backstory of where RMD came from.
Yeah.
Making it, coming to Mexico. And I think if you could tell that story, it was similar to what Shorty from Iron Resurrection, he was on, and he told his story. When I was digging into, the past, it was very similar. 4 years old, you came from Mexico. Can you tell us what that was like and what you remember of what it was like being a kid?
Well, unfortunately, and I say unfortunately because it's a lot of the same story. It's the story of an immigrant, right? The story of an immigrant. We grew up, again, I was born in Juarez, and I was 4 years old when my parents decided that we were going to make the transition into America. We actually lived in Tijuana at that time. So I could remember a few little things of that time, but I remember just the world opening up, even as a 4-year-old, sitting in the back seat of a car, looking out the window, and just like the whole, everything that you ever had seen or I had ever seen just changed. Your whole entire background just changed. Your backdrop just changed. So it was definitely something that, was just crazy. And we grew up in we were a poor family. There was 11 of us with our parents. We lived in a 2-bedroom, but man, I tell you, as tough as it was, and as crazy as it was, and as scary as it was so amazing at the same time, fundamentally, because it built you. All right. People always say that you're a product of your environment. For me, I'm a product of my environment and what I could absorb from it and turn it into a positive. So it was always trying to think, even as a young kid, I found myself dressing different, found myself acting different. And it was just, obviously I can identify it now, but I was just trying to seek something in the outside. So, I tell my daughters all the time when they're struggling with something is, what are you looking for? And they used to tell me, what do you mean? What do you mean? Right. Until they find it. And then most recently, my daughter and I had an amazing conversation about finding what she was looking for. And that's really what it is. Right. So we're all chasing something. And at the end of the day, what is it? What is it that you're chasing? If you can identify it and define it, you're going to get there much quicker. So I always look to those things. And I always say, the past was my catalyst for my future. It helped me really develop who I would be and who I wanted to become. And it taught me so much street smart. And that's really where the hustle came, and when I decided that I would create Ralph's Mobile Detailing, it was because I was pretty much done and tired of the taste of that bitter taste of poverty, right? And those that have experienced poverty know exactly what I'm talking about. Not knowing what you're going to eat, not knowing where you're going to get your next meal from, or how you're even going to pay a bill. And so I was done. So I said to myself, succeed or fail, it's on you, Ralph. And I took that and I didn't look back.
Ralph, well, I also read somewhere that you dropped out of high school. What grade? What went on there? What were you thinking? And what's the deal?
Well, it's funny, if you think, I was asked this question when I auditioned for a big TV show way back, and I won't even say the name. And I made it to finalist. And one of the questions was, why did you drop out of high school? And I said, and so the answer is this: we grew up in a neighborhood where survival was the most important thing. So education was probably the least of importance. And so you needed to work to survive. You needed to survive the streets, to do with gang violence, with everything. And we weren't in a system or surrounded by a system that really drove you or pushed you to educate yourself. On the contrary, we almost celebrated, that working spirit versus education spirit. But I tell you, as I look back, and I've built an amazing empire. I miss so many fundamentals of education that I wish I would have had. And I'm not afraid to say it, and I'm not ashamed, to say those things, because I want young minds to understand how important it is. If you can absorb that education, absorb that ability, as I think about it now, and you still have that willpower. So imagine what you can do if you have that knowledge, right? So for me, I had a different path. I chose a different path. I got to the 8th grade and I was done. And I really wasn't paying attention anymore. I struggled with authority. And to me, I understood authority to be someone trying to suppress me, versus trying to help me. And I couldn't break there's no mentors, there's no Instagram, there's nobody to talk to that can guide you in a different path. I had some great teachers and some terrible teachers, and some that really pushed you down and some that tried to bring you up. And at the end of the day, I chose my path. But I realized, and I say this to my daughters, that I had to work 3 times, or more than 4 times harder than that normal person that might have had that education.
Yeah. But here's the thing, John. In the talking points you sent me, I love it that he was a door-to-door computer salesman. Dude, I didn't even know that existed. How did that come about, Ralph? A door-to-door computer salesman?
Dude, it's so funny, Lou, because you fall into these pockets, right, where you guys, I mean, if you guys ever experienced it or haven't, where you don't know what that outside or that turn is going to be. And I remember getting a call from my brother, knowing that I was falling on hard times. I had just lost that job that I've had since I was 16. And he's like, dude, come to San Diego. We're building computers and you got to go, business to business, knock on doors. And I said, well, I got nothing to lose. So I went out, I did that. And I mean, again, another important pinnacle point in my life where you actually see something else. You're exposed to something you've never been exposed to, but you start to see the difference in humanity. And I think for me, finding myself literally with like $1.09, like I'm a product of Taco Bell and I'm a product of Jack in the Box. And I know that's crazy to say and hear, but for us in the hood, like those were our meals, having a buck and a quarter was like, oh, dude, I can eat today, right? So having, I would count that I would have $1.10 in my pocket and make sure that I had 2 tacos to eat at Jack in the Box that day. So, I mean, those are just, again, any excuse to go a different way, right? I had them all. I had every path, or I had every excuse to go a different way. And no matter what it was that would be in front of me, I figured a way to get around that barrier.
That's awesome.
And break through.
Yeah. Well, I did when I retired from the military, I went back and I got a 2-year degree in social work. And one of the jobs I did while I was in school was I actually substitute taught at a juvie jail. Wow. And I was in the lockdown wing. Like I was in the only place these kids were allowed to go where I was at was in the lounge for class. That was it. Other than that, they were in their cells. And I used to tell them because I would always get into these discussions with them. And the ones who were getting ready to get out, they'd always say, man, I can't wait to get out of here and get my freedom back. And I'd tell them, wait a minute now. You gave it up. When you went in that store and started slinging that gun around or standing on the corner slinging that crack, you told the state you didn't need that freedom anymore and you were going to let them hold it for you.
Yeah.
I said, you got to understand what you did was wrong and you got caught for it. Own up to it and don't make the same mistake. And probably about 1.5 years later, I was at school and they had this big courtyard at the school. And the only people who ever called me Mr. Santiago were there. And I'm walking here, Mr. Santiago, Mr. Santiago. And I turn around and it's one of the kids. He goes, man, you were right. Because I got my GED now. I'm going to school. I'm going to get my 2-year degree because I ain't giving up my damn freedom. It's too important. And my thing is, if you can reach 1 in 10, you got it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because I know with a story like what you're saying, you've come across people and you've touched their life in a way that saved them. You know what I mean? Because that's what happens.
Yeah. Well, Lou, the truth is that I made a choice. I'll be honest with you. Like, when we started to grow up, one of the things that saved our lives, and I'll be honest, was breakdancing, right?
Yeah.
Breakdancing for us was like the most amazing get out of jail card, get out of the gang card, and we were good at it. We were really good at it. And community youth gang service used to come and pick us up and take us to different places. And we were breakdancing everywhere, and even then you think, what are they doing this? What are you doing? You don't really understand the value. But when I was able to grow up a little bit more and understand the effort of these volunteers and what they were doing for us,
right,
I made a choice to make sure that that's one of the things that I did, right, to utilize my platform or my voice and my story to try to talk to as many people as I could, even if some of them aren't willing to listen, to try to really, really let them see that if I could make it, because sometimes we relay to the same color, we relate to a certain story, you grab onto something, whatever that may be for that individual. But I try to make sure that I always said, you know what, you were given a gift, maybe the gift of jabber, maybe the gift of hustle, whatever that is. If you waste it, Ralph, I was talking to myself, telling myself I will be very disappointed in you. So I talk to as many people as I can and young kids. I'm a part of a program that's been going on for almost 6 years that I've been involved. It's called GRIP. And it's right here. It's ran in the city of San Clemente, and it's the district attorney's office. And essentially they got tired of arresting kids for not going to school and developed a program called GRIP, and really kind of built a place for all the kids to have mentors. And I'm one of them. And I am so proud of what we've been able to do and accomplish. And of course, what they do it on a full-time basis. I just happen to get a chance and to get the opportunity to talk to them every December. And I do that with the region here at Ford, which is so awesome for someone like that to be involved with kids that, are at risk. So
that's awesome. Yeah, you got to give back, man. I don't care what anybody says. You got to give back. If you don't give back, it's for me, you're losing out. You're missing out. You know what I mean? Because like I've taught a few kids how to weld already, probably like 6 of them, 7 of them. And I've got one in Texas right now that he's just one of my son's friends, but he calls me all the time because he needs help. He needs advice. And I don't mind giving it to him. But the questions he's asking me is like he got into plumbing, and he just got his journeyman in plumbing. But now he's talking about he wants to go to school and become a civil engineer.
Yeah.
And I know, like his whole family's been locked up.
Yeah.
They're in and out of jail all the time, and he's the only one that's not getting locked up. And he told me one day, he said flat out, he goes, I'd probably be locked up if it wasn't for you answering the phone.
That's awesome. Congrats.
And I'm not trying to do anything other than give the kid a sounding board.
Just be there. Exactly.
You know what I mean? That's all. I answer the phone. That's all. I don't not answer the phone when he calls. I look at it, I answer it, and I just talk to him, and I let him go through whatever's bugging him, and I give him what I would do, my opinion, and we move on. And it's worked. He told me, he said, I need to go to Texas to get away from the family. What's your plan? That's the first question I asked him. I said, what's your plan? Where are you going to go? Where are you going to stay? Do you have enough money to get to Texas?
Yep.
And yes. I said, then where's the next step? He told me where he was going to stay. And I said, there you go. Go. You don't need to wait here. Don't. And I told him, I said, don't do like me, leave California with $40 and have to take a gas heading east.
Lou, we got a question from Kevin. You want to run through it? It's pretty lengthy.
Oh, man. So I got my camera in the way. So hold on, I got to lean over. We're going through the succession in business. In business, at what moment did you realize that you wanted to? I'm just gonna move the camera over. I got to keep it in front, so I'm not at the angle. So I'm not giving you a 3/4. So going through the succession in business, what moment did you realize that? What moment did you realize to get where you wanted to be, you had to go so far on your own that you needed to make connections to get to the next level in your personal business success? And who were those connections?
Man, that's a great question. Thank you, Kevin, for throwing that out. I think that one of the things that I talked about was, when you didn't have that lack education, it's hard to understand. So when I started detailing cars, I knew that I had a craft, and I knew that what I was selling was myself.
Mm-hmm.
And the caveat or the icing on the cake was that they happened to get one of the most amazing car details they had ever had. So that was one of the most important things to me. And obviously I carry that in business is first and foremost, sell yourself. That's a great picture. Sell yourself, and in return, they get the product of what you're producing. So the other thing, when it came to connections, for me, I didn't understand them. My mindset wasn't set up like that. So I didn't see them as connection, but I saw them as opportunities. I saw them as doors opening, and I became the yes guy. So a lot of us get so fixated on who we are and what we do in particular versus what we could do. So for me, because I didn't know when my next check would come or where it would come from, I didn't become fixated in I can only detail. The detailing is my craft, but Ralph is really the mind. So every time I was asked, could I do this? I would say yes. And I'm talking from like, could you pressure wash my entire house and clean all the furniture? I'll give you a couple extra $100. Yes. Right. Could you build this structure? I saw you detailing the cars, but I need help building this structure. Yes. So becoming that yes guy, not only did it give me a chance to see what I could do, but it also gave me a chance to something that I couldn't normally not touch. So once those doors started to open, of course, you start to taste that, that level of success, and you try to see what else can be done, what else can you open, what else can you achieve. And being fluid is super important. And again, for me, that's one of the things that I say that it worked, was that I wasn't so fixated. I was more fluid and flexible, where I allowed myself to really venture onto, whatever somebody would give me the chance to do. So I don't like to use the term fake it till you make it, but that's really what you're doing. So becoming the yes guy allowed so many doors to open. And even today, I mean, the stuff that I do would blow people's mind, that I can do it with the capacity. I could be working on 100 projects at one time and not sweat, because my mind is just so multitask driven. And I have such great people that I trust that allows me. And to finalize your question in going back to the people is understand that you've got to surround yourself with people that are smarter than you, and pay them well, take care of them well, do it the best that you can, so that they are very, very happy at what they do, and their intelligence comes through.
Rob, let's back up a little bit, because I gotta be honest with you. I didn't know that RMD stood for mobile detailing up until maybe 3 weeks ago.
Ralph's Mobile Detailing.
Yeah, right. and I was actually surprised, because the whole time I'm thinking it must be a partnership, because I knew you got the group, you got the garage, you've got, like you're saying, a lot of projects, but you started the detailing with $600, doing your thing, making it work, and that's right. I guess that's sometime after the computer door to door.
That was it, actually. That was, sorry to interrupt you, John, but I landed one big computer job, and you know what I did? I went to AutoZone and bought a bunch of car care stuff, and I literally threw it in the trunk of my car. I had a Merkur X4 Ti from Ford. Exactly, a Merkur. Think about that, a Merkur X4 Ti that was imported from overseas, and and I had all my stuff, and I started to detail a car on a Saturday. So I got paid on Friday. And I want you guys to think about this. I went and bought all kinds of supplies and put them in the trunk of my car, got my first car on a Saturday in San Diego, and I was approached, and I won't bring up any names or anything, because I'm just not that kind of person. I was approached by a person, and they said to me, you need to pay me for your water that you're using right now and your electricity. I packed up my shit at that moment. I'm sorry, I don't know if I could say that, but and drove home back to Los Angeles, tears in my eyes. And that was the moment that RMD was born. That was the moment that I said, I owed 6 car payments to a dealer that I had bought my girlfriend at the time, a Rabbit. I walked into his store. And he says, where have you been? You owe me money. And I said, I lost my job 6 months ago. I've been trying to work. All I know how to do is detail cars. And he said, do all the cars that you can on my lot, and I'll give you your pink slip. And I did that. And I did that amazingly. Went to the 99-cent store, bought brushes, bought whatever I could, but the light that came on at that moment, and that's when I made the decision that I said, succeed or fail, I am never gonna let anybody bring me down anymore. It'll be on me. And that's what that is when a moment in my life shifted completely, and I became so hyper focused. And Ralph's Mobile Detailing became just a name that grew and grew. And me and my best friend were sitting in a truck one day coming back from Detroit, Michigan, and everybody was calling us Ralphie's, and we were on so many automotive programs. And I knew that, you know, obviously every single one of my guys had a name, and I said, we need to call ourselves RMD, period. No, don't change things. I said, no, we will be RMD. And that moment, we told everybody that we are now going to be known as RMD, and it was just something that we refused to change. And it was because of the essence of the birth of that made it so interesting. And I loved when the show came on, because people said, oh, restoring modern dreams, or everybody gave it its own name. And that also took birth, you know, and took flight. That was beautiful, because again, it means, I mean, when you find out what it really means, you're like, how, when, where? And that's the capacity of the human mind and the human body and spirit, that can take something so minute as, you know, car detailing at that moment, where I was literally told, oh God, poor Ralph, how's he going to make money? And a year later, I had almost everybody employed. That was crazy.
Ralph, I saw a video not long ago where you still have your trailer, your sign, the whole thing, so you never forget.
Oh,
that's right.
That's the essence. That's the essence of the birth. You can't forget what made you.
Yeah.
You can't forget that. Like I said, those are fundamentals. Those are, and I mean, obviously, the most important thing for me is always to stay as humble as I can. My father was an amazing man that always used to just remind yourself, you never know when you're gonna need someone, and you better be a good person. So that was that, dude. No matter how big how you get, or no matter where life takes you, like at the end of the day, you got to carry those fundamentals with you, and that's that moral.
How do you go, Ralph? How do you go from detailing cars, that RMD, to RMD Group, to RMD Garage? Explain that transition and how those things came about.
Transition,
because now you're bigger than shit.
You know, so 93 was the birth of RMD, of Ralph's Mobile Detailing, right? By 98, I was doing really good. I met some amazing people. I met a gentleman by the name of Sam Dawson, who really took me under his wing and allowed me the opportunity to work and be essentially the muscle behind his agency, and help them in everything that they were doing. So the birth of RMD, and what that time we called it RMD Support Connection, grew, just unbelievably grew as a support engine to the automotive world, right? And so whether you were launching a vehicle, or you were doing sales training, or you were doing in dealership, or whatever it was at that time, we were there not only doing car prep, but we were doing all the setup of a show and everything. So if you guys can imagine the mind, you know, I was so hungry. I was obviously awakened to this world that I had never been exposed to. And so my mind was absorbing everything that I could. And I became a sponge. And in 2005, I decided that it was time for me just to really redefine who I wanted to be. I had become so creative, and I wanted to become more of a creative agency versus a muscle agency. And I wanted the value to be put on my mind versus my hands. And I formed RMD Group, and I cleared the deck. So I had about 4 million in billing. I cleared the entire deck and started from zero again. and I closed 2006 with I believe was close to 6 to 7 million in billings. And it was the most beautiful thing, because you're so tested to see what you could do again if you had a chance to do it, and what would you do? And I used to say, I know that I can run a company off the money that is wasted, not spent, but wasted. Because I saw the industry really and understood it a little bit more. So I became this creative force. I mean, my first project put me on national television with NBC, and we were doing some stuff with Tiger Woods and Ford, and it was just amazing. And I got a chance to really showcase what I could design in terms of exhibits, and what I could design in terms of, consumer engagement. And it just blew up. It blew up from there. And the birth of RMD Garage really came from having the chance and the money to do what I wanted to do. And one of it was build some of the cars. And me and a few of the guys after work started clocking into building a truck, and we built, an F100, and we unveiled it at the Grand National Roadster Show and won, Truck of the Year. And it was the most amazing feeling. And it was just a bunch of, four guys in a garage doing what they love, but it showed our ability, not only our ability to build, but design, quality, and it showed the ability to market it, right? Because I documented the whole thing, then put it online, and it blew up. For that time, it blew up. And that's how RMD Garage was really born. That's really where, Discovery and Velocity and the team really found me.
Yeah. So look, this is what I want to do. We're going to go to a commercial break, because I got to get my hat. So after the commercial, you'll see my hat, and we'll finish up with Ralph's story. Hit it, Lee.
Power-Built Tools exemplifies innovation in the tool industry. From hand tools, power tools, and even tool storage. Check out powerbuilt.com for Power-Built Tools. And remember, use promo code MMR15 for 15% off at purchase.
I don't want to feel left out. Where is everybody?
He's still getting his hat.
I think Lou dropped out.
Yeah, Lou went to go get that hat.
Ralph, talk about the 55 that's behind you.
Oh, this bad boy.
That's your newest, right?
But
that's your newest build?
Yeah, this was our latest build before COVID. We unveiled this at the Grand National Roadster Show right before COVID, and we're super proud of it. It's a car that we obviously a client that we picked up in Hawaii happened to be on vacation, and they knew I was in town, and it was the most beautiful thing. I love stories and families, and I love the journey that this. Oh yeah, there it is, buddy.
You need a cane with that thing.
So I just want you to, I've always liked the Derby, also known as the bowler.
Yeah.
And last night, 2:00 in the morning, I'm looking at YouTube, and there's this guy, the history guy, and he does these 10 to 15 minute snippets of history, and the one that I watched last night was the one on the bowler. The guy.
You look like a pimp. That's what it looks like. You see on the corner going, "Where's my money?"
This is the other one.
Oh, we got another one.
This is the one that I got when I first went in the Navy.
You need a tuxedo with that one.
I love this. I used to just wear it around. I just love it.
Wear it to a show. Sign autographs with that one.
Awesome.
We were getting into the 55 that's behind it. Ralph, tell us about the build itself. What'd you do to it?
This is as I was telling you. So the clients from Hawaii wanted to build 55. They had it in their garage. Their uncle had owned it. He had passed away, and they had gotten it, and so it was just a great opportunity for us to build such a great piece for such a great family. It's got that beautiful Toyota gray. You know, we shot it with that BASF paint. It's got an LS3 Borla induction unit, roaster shop chassis. I mean, the interior on this 55 is hands down unbelievably beautiful. If you haven't had a chance to see it, I don't think we've posted it too much, trying to make sure that we respect them. But, you know, I'm sure there's shots out there. It's just an unbelievable driving machine. The bait is on the wheels. We got the race line wheels on there, but we had them anodized red for him. So either you love him or hate him. It's okay. It's his car. He loves it. And that's the most important thing, you know. So I love this build, and I love how it sits. You know, air ride suspension, slammed it all the way down. We obviously tubbed it, you know, did some amazing magic. And, you know, obviously you can't go wrong with a roaster shop chassis. So, yeah, it's just a great vehicle.
Cool. It's a good looking car from here.
Yeah.
I like
that.
Do you have any other pictures of that, Lee? Is there any other pictures of the 55, the one that's behind them? Did any of them come over?
You said 55?
No, that's 50.
No, that's the T-Bird we're working on. That's
But there's nothing. All right.
No. She'll send you one right now. Stephanie Zavala is amazing. She really keeps me controlled, because this is control chaos we go through.
Oh yeah,
it's live.
This is control chaos all the time. We got tons of stuff going on. So,
Ralph, when you were
go ahead.
When you were talking about the exhibits, the marketing, and you built up over time some pretty good relationships and partnerships with some heavies. And I think it needs, you know, sometimes people tune in, tune out. For a guy that dropped out in the 8th grade, I mean, you're swinging for the fences and hitting home runs. I mean, when I look down at this list, when you have Ford, Lincoln, Toyota, Lexus, Hyundai, Genesis, Toyota, and you also, I saw the display you built for Kendi.
Yeah.
You know, with the lookout tower. I mean, I think there was a show. I don't know if it was your show or his show, but there was a show that was made about it. Well, he said to me, he goes, "You got to come over." I said, "What's up?" He goes, "Come over to my trailer." He goes, "You can look out and see the whole show from up top." And I saw it on TV. I knew, but I never climbed and went in, but the offer was there. But tell us about the relationships and what that's about right now.
You know, I mean, I really am one of those creatures of service above anything, right? And value and respect. So when, you know, as I said earlier, when a door opens or an opportunity, I mean, dude, we are, when I talk about that street vibe, you know, to understand the power and what it means to be in that room, in that conference room, and knowing that, you know, you really, you know, if you think about it, weren't scheduled or weren't supposed to be there. Like the way, you know, that society is today, you weren't even supposed to be in that room. So I value that so much. And so that means that my effort is even greater, right? So everything that I try to do and everything that I try to put into my team is about going above and beyond. And so the relationships on that end come with so much respect and value, because they know how much we're willing to do, what it takes to get the job done. And that's kind of what you know, when I reached out to Dave Kindig, I mean, listen, he could have built that truck himself. We all know that. He's a very talented individual. But one of the things that I said to him is that you know how to build cars, and I know how to build brands, and I know how to market. And he just chuckled and said, "Let's do this." And we talked about collabing in each other's show, which ended up working out just so perfect. And I appreciate that he gave us the opportunity to do that, right? Here we were, a brand new, the world had never even seen or knew who Ralph Holguin was, from a car from a builder's perspective. So obviously having that great endorsement just validated a lot of the work. And obviously, that two garages can come together and do that. I mean, that was really important too for us, being the new kids on the block.
Yeah.
Ralph, let me ask you something. Dropping out in the 8th grade, and I hate to keep bringing that up, but there has to be times you're in a boardroom, you're in a situation where you're looking around and there's people that are highly, highly educated. And you have to say to yourself, wait a minute here, you're fish out of water in the back of your mind, even though you're not. Have you ever stopped and thought to yourself, you know what? I'm surprised these people can't do this or don't know this, but you can. There's some genius level of something where you go, this comes naturally, where even if, they went to the 14th grade and still can't do it. You ever stop and think about that for a second? Because you have a lot of abilities.
Every time I'm in a room where, I would be lying to you if I told you that I felt like maybe, what the blank am I doing here? I remind myself that the moment I open my mouth, everything I'm going to say is of value, and it comes from a different place that they can't harness. You can't build passion in school. You can't build that. And that's something that I truly believe, that passion moves mountains, right? So I always say I love being ordinary and creating extraordinary, and being crazy enough to walk into that room and spit my knowledge. I love that, because I think that that's what we lack so much, right? Is that it's so, again, I wish I had that school smart, the book smart, but I got the street smart, and that sometimes cannot be recreated, purchased, or it just adapted. It's as real as it gets. It is organically homegrown, and I embrace it. I love it, and I obviously use it as my driving force. So doesn't mean I'm ignorant. There's way smarter people than me. So it's my duty to learn as much as I can. It is my duty to be a student every day that I can. Yep. It is my duty to try. Ralph,
there's a difference between educated and smart. Yeah. And that's the point I was trying to make. It doesn't mean because you didn't go through and somebody paved that way and had that paid for you, where you went to school or the best school. You still, when you're clicking off those numbers, $6-7 million, that's no dummy. That's a smart dude.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Think about that. And that was years ago. We don't want to get into your numbers today, but if it's okay with you, Lou, what I wanted to have Lee do is bring up some of the pictures that were sent over.
Yeah.
And have Ralph speak to them. Tell us what this is about, Ralph.
So this is great, man. We know with the new Bronco coming out, we love working for, Southern California Ford dealers and obviously the Ford region. So this is a regional effort right here, and we wanted to take the Bronco Sport and really kind of just make it look like it was out in the wild. And this travels all over Southern California. It's going to make its way up to Northern California. And this is just crazy, creative. I don't want to call it is out of the box thinking, but it's, just changing an environment and the way we launch or see a vehicle. So we want to evoke emotion. We want to obviously drive brand affinity. And this was just a great opportunity for us. This is Essence Music Fest. Remember I told you guys, have some smart people around you. Laura Milanes, who is our SVP here, she's been running Essence Music Fest for years now. And we have a chance to really build one of the most amazing exhibits that has ever been seen. And we're really proud of the chance to do that. We love being a minority diversity agency. And this is a chance. So we get to build everything you see here, guys. But not only that, we actually get to New Orleans, run it, handle everything that has to happen, every celebrity that's going to speak on our stage, everything that is activation that has to do with activating this.
Yeah.
This was a great campaign I did in Mexico City. Well, obviously our Lincoln clients out of Mexico asked us to launch the new Aviator to the press. And we really kind of took over and transformed 2 different environments. We took over a home and we took over a hotel, and we created the Aviator House. And this was just a great opportunity to really bring that creative from North America into Mexico.
Man, that's awesome. Anything else, Lee?
Maybe go to some of the builds that he sent over. If you can pull those up, that would be helpful too. Who's that ugly guy? Oh,
there you go.
So this is a render. This is a render for Ghost, man. This is the car we picked up. Sometimes, unfortunately, as you guys know, Luke, you know this in this industry, you got guys that started a car and can't finish it. So I picked up the car. My good friend Von Genn Jr., the drifting champion, called me on this, and I picked it up, and we started rendering it and messing around with it, and now it's being built for a customer that purchased it. We're super excited. We have 1,000 horsepower. It's got some amazing interior touches that we're doing on it, and it's got a beautiful satin kind of pearlescent white paint on it with the gloss top. So we're really excited. Can't wait to bring this out.
Yeah,
cool shit.
This is the Ranchero, man. You know, we're super excited about the Ranchero. There's a lot. I mean, you guys are seeing really the first draft of, of something so different, right? Because, the truth is not that many people will spend money or time on a Ranchero, but this is an affinity of love, and I love that. So Brian has had this car his whole life, and he absolutely loves it. Doesn't care what it takes to make it look so freaking amazing. And I love the modifications that we've done to this vehicle. You're seeing the render right now. It'll look obviously way better than the render because we start to mess with different things. But I can't wait to show you guys this. It'll be powered by a 5.0 Coyote motor. And because you guys know there's no chassis for this, so a lot of one-off custom pieces had to be done for this.
Yeah.
This is a beautiful 56 T-Bird that we're working on. Again, this one we inherited from a garage that the client had it for a long time there and couldn't finish it. Happens a lot in the industry, so we're really happy. I'm gonna tell you, man, I wish we were ahead. We're a little bit behind due to COVID and some other stuff, but we are excited once we get these builds. This one is already in fabrication stages. Interior's getting all mocked up right now. Stuff's looking really good.
That's awesome. So how many people do you have working for you? There it is.
That's the Mercer X4 Ti, man.
That's awesome.
Mine was blue. That dude, I can't believe that car. Good job, guys. Good job on finding that.
How many people you got working for you, Ralph?
You know what? We are a team of 45 internal people, and then we have a bunch of people that we're hiring right now in 3 locations for some projects that we got going on. So I think by the end of maybe next month, we will probably have just a little bit under 75 or 80.
Oh wow! Yeah, it's a good sized company, man.
Man, we have this amazing building here that I purchased a while ago. And so we have about 40,000 square feet on a 95,000 square foot lot. So we're super lucky to be able to work under this amazing environment. This is our creative side. It's got so many parts. We have a full print facility, exhibit building. So RMD exhibit, RMD print, RMD garage, and RMD group. So,
man, that's awesome.
So where are you expanding? I saw that there was help wanted in Vegas, Utah,
Boston.
Man.
What's going on? We're working on some great stuff right now. We're going to be hiring a lot of car care people to help us out, both in Austin. It's a little bit about an hour away from Austin, and we're going to be doing something in Nevada and something in Moab and another location still yet to be determined. We're still working on that, but we have some great partners. and that we're working with, and we're super excited. Unfortunately, we're under NDA to share any of that information, but I mean, you'll know about it sooner than later, and you'll tie it all together and know. I mean, I'm excited to be working on one of the best campaigns I've ever had a chance to touch.
That's cool. So, you when you were talking about just making it and being the guy in the room that doesn't have the biggest education, for me, the thing that you have more than anything else, and you get it with street smarts, is common sense.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because you're going to look at things differently than what most people look at, the way they look at it, I should say. Yeah. You're going to look at it from a totally different perspective. One, because of your background, but two, you've got common sense. And I've noticed lately that's in shortage now.
It ain't that common to have
exactly. There's nothing common about common sense. Lee's
saying the 55 is uploaded. He's got.
Yeah, I was going to mention that too.
Oh, good.
Let's see the 55 then. There it is.
Yeah,
dude, I like that. It's got a nice stance.
Isn't that beautiful?
That is. I like
Rob,
that.
Is that
I like
bag?
the red wheels.
Yeah,
Bag,
that's bag. That's bag. That's got obviously a lot of custom features that you'd have to know, like that, those mirrors, but obviously even the door handles, the original door handles from 55, we notched them and cut them back almost 1.5 inches and then recessed them back in. So I like making sure that I retain some of the classic features, but also giving them just a modern twist, right? I mean, to me, swap out the wheels later on in life if you don't like them, but dude, this is a timeless, beautiful piece. Every bit of it looks so amazing. Send them a shot of the engine if you have it, Stephanie. The engine is just unreal. The engine bay.
You know what's cool about that? It's like you said, it's timeless, and that's what I like in a car, in a build. When no matter what year it is, no matter how old it is, you bring it out and people go, okay, that's cool.
Yeah,
that's when you nail it. You know that.
Lou, and I'll tell you, because this is very, very important, and I'm giving you guys the exclusive right now, and I can't show you anything, but the truck we're building right now, Louis Vuitton, that we're going to unveil at SEMA, it's immediately when you say Louis Vuitton, you're going to be like, what? But I'm going to tell you, honestly, it's like one of the best handbags I've ever seen in my life.
Really?
Oh, my goodness. Oh my goodness. And that's not because it's coming out of here. It's because of the passion and craftsmanship to get it right, because it is a Louis Vuitton piece that you can make gaudy or ugly in a second.
Mm-hmm.
And so my name is on it. Our names are on it. So from Juan, from Victor, from Rafa, from Eddie, from all the guys that are touching it, it is so important that we did the most amazing craftsmanship ever seen. And when let me tell you, when the door panel was finished, and I stared at it, and I could not even understand that was a door panel. That's how beautiful. Does that make sense?
It does. I get it.
You're like, no.
Ralph, you're going to have it at SEMA. What booth? What are you doing? Where is it going to be?
We're working on that, man.
Okay.
To be honest, I'm begging my boys at McGuire's to let us have it there. So fans, whoever, make sure you reach out to McGuire's. I love my McGuire's team. I love the essence of what they've done for me and what we've done together. And so that's our goal. And it's just so, like, guys, use F100 56 F100 2-inch chop, suicide doors, metal work like you haven't seen before on an F100, chassis like you haven't seen before on an F100, details like you haven't seen before on an F100. Like, when is the last time you guys have ever seen button head screws engraved with Louis Vuitton on them.
Oh my God.
That's
Are
pretty
you
crazy.
kidding me?
So it's a little bit of what I feel is our lowrider culture, marrying a modern twist of
Yeah.
You get it,
Yeah.
you know, and
With the designer. Yeah.
you'd have to spend so much time to understand like so much that's been done. So it is.
You know what you need to do? You know what you need to do after SEMA? You need to get like, you know how like they do those fashion shows with like they do the summer line. You need to have Louis Vuitton. That you need to have that group put the truck on the runway and have the models walk around it.
Lou, there is talks right now where we will have $40,000 trunks or $50,000 trunks in the tailgate.
Wow.
God.
Yeah. So you know, stay tuned.
Yeah. You have to keep us in the loop with that one.
You know, we've pushed the envelope, and that's, I mean, like I said it in the beginning, guys, it's passion. Passion drives the machine, man. So
it's awesome.
Ralph,
good.
Before we roll, explain if you can or feel like it, what happened to TV? I mean, I was disappointed that the show didn't make it. You and I talked before, I don't know if you remember, about moving stuff over to history, maybe, and approaching them and picking up. What happened?
Timing. I think it's timing, you know. I don't know. I can't explain it. I thought we did such amazing work. I think that it was important. I know I still feel 100% that it was important to have a Latin phase, really, you know, on screen, not behind the screen. But I think it all had to do with timing, you know. And again, some I can't tell you, you know.
You know, a lot of people, I don't think, understand that when you have a TV show like that, you have a background, the one that you're in now, when you're filming, and whatever that area is, I don't know how big it is in real life, that square foot where you have the garage and there's 3 or 5 guys working. When they say quiet on the set, they shut down everything. People next to where they're filming can't be using a Dotco grinder or doing or making noise. You got to shut the compressor off. You got to make sure the air hoses aren't making noises. So it's actually costly because 5 guys are watching one guy work. And people don't understand that. They think, oh, you're rich, look, because you're on TV. It costs money to shut everything down and go, okay, let's make sense of this and capture what we need captured. But yeah, I was a little disappointed. I was hoping
I mean, if I could touch on that, John, I mean, like, listen, the best part is I didn't need the show, right? The best part is, which is sad for some guys, that's what they, you know, the show, I mean, they came to me. I didn't go to them. They came to me, and obviously learning so much on the first year. I knew what I wanted to do on the second year or second season 2. I knew what I wanted to get. I knew what I needed to get. And I would say that I'm a different breed. You know, I'm not someone that was thirsty. You know, I'm not someone that, you know, was needed to be in that limelight. I think at the end of the day, if it didn't make sense for me, I'm a businessman first, and if it didn't make sense, it is what it didn't make sense, you know.
Yeah, without a doubt.
I love but it's very important that I do point out what does come from it, right? I love what came from it. I love the amount of love and fans and motivation and inspiration and creativity and passion and positivity, no matter how much negative stuff was thrown and that my jeans were too skinny or that, you know, I talked way too much and all that. I was like, dude, that's if you got that much time to worry about what I'm wearing, like, you know, man,
for real
self-analyzation. But at the end of the day, what I said is you cannot quantify how much love, because that's what mattered. And that's what came from it from all over the world.
Yeah.
You know, mis Latinos, Brasileños, Argentina, France, London, overseas, Puerto Ricans, obviously my Texans, New Yorkers, everybody that came and just loved the passion. I had wives watching the show, kids watching the show, families watching them together in different rooms. Like, we skewed really high in so many places, but it's a sad thing when you think about it. And this is what, I'm gonna be honest, the immigrant story didn't set well, because we were facing a brand new time in that year, and the American dream was, and so I became a statistic and move it out. And the truth is if a network is going to invest and really diving into diversity, you can't pepper it.
Yeah,
you can't pepper it.
You can't.
Yeah,
I agree with you.
Go full force and trust it for a very long time, because then they're not ready to invest. Right? It shows. And that's what.
And not only are they not ready to invest, but TV as a whole, they're the kind of people that would rather step over $1 to pick up a nickel.
Yeah.
Because that's how they look at it. When you talk to them, it's always, well, we can't make any money on that. No, you can make money on it. You just got to think a little bit more.
Yeah.
And that makes a big difference. And that also, you said something that, you weren't thirsty. Your ego, you're comfortable in your own skin. You know what I mean? And that means that your ego's in check. A lot of people in that industry, they don't have their ego in check.
Yeah.
And that was my whole thing. My whole deal with Jared, with CarFix, was when he's ready to leave, I leave with him. And that's just it. And that's what we did. And you got to stick to your guns and do what you say you're going to do, and then you move on.
Yeah.
But yeah, I get it, Ralph. I get it 100%.
Yeah. At the end of the day, listen, I'm a true believer. If I was meant to be on TV, I would be on TV. I'll be on TV.
Yeah.
If it's
You'll be on again. I got a feeling it's not over.
If it's not, dude, oh my goodness, I am so blessed, dude. And I gotta take my goods and my bads and ride them,
Yeah.
And that's what I love. So
not for nothing, but Barrett Jackson is we're being asked, we're working on it now, trying to work out the details, to do the podcast from Barrett Jackson in Vegas.
Yeah.
We're supposed to do it in Scottsdale, COVID, this whole thing. But you and I were texting back and forth when we were hanging out with Ed. Ed went out to Scottsdale with us, had a blast. You missed out. All I can say is you missed out.
Yeah.
But if you can do Vegas, I'll keep you in the loop as to what's going on. If you could make it, that would be great. But that's what I'm getting at, is history is involved with that now. That's not Motor Trend Discovery's property anymore. So that's obvious. They spent a fortune on the rights to Barrett Jackson. They're spending money in that arena. Yeah. Which means others aren't or can't afford it, which is a management issue without saying who and what and what have you.
Dude, they need some Spanish flair, dude. They need a Spanish host. Yeah. They do. And I'm sorry, but if we don't adapt to our marketplace right now, like, come on,
they need a minority like Ed on the network as well. Yeah, Ed was on the podcast, I think it was last week before, what have you. He did a fantastic job explaining what he does.
Yeah.
He showed samples, which knocked your socks off. You know what he does.
Heck yeah.
So, you know what I mean? So they need that arena. They need to cover that, not just a bearded guy from Texas, which there's 15 of them on the network at this point.
Right.
Nothing to take away from them, but they just focus on that one area when it's a little bigger than that.
The world is broader. Broader, man. And
that's the thing. They don't understand that it's broad.
It's hard, man. If it doesn't, the world is broader, dude. And that's the most beautiful thing, dude. Like we all are a product of freaking some kind of immigrant or some kind of, it's just beautiful. And the moment you embrace it, I love that I can speak both languages, right? Like that's just, and I try to teach that to my daughters and the importance of that, but the importance of when it comes from your heritage. So I love it.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah, I don't speak both languages. My
Santiago,
mom said one day I just stopped.
¿qué te pasa, amigo?
Exactly. Yeah. But the crazy thing is, if I'm around it long enough, it starts coming back.
You start to pick it up.
Yeah, because your brain starts thinking that way. So
Well, even
one of
with
these days I need to learn it.
same thing
Really
with like one of my really good friends, Jaime Camilo, said, "Hey, hermano, you got to speak Spanish. Like you got to speak proper Spanish. Like you can't be this guy on TV and not speak proper Spanish."
Yeah, yeah.
And what do you mean I speak? No, I knew exactly what he meant.
Right.
And
Yeah, I know what you mean too. Yeah.
it's important to, again, educate yourself, adapt, and represent to the best of your abilities. So I love. Para todos mis latinos mirando, gracias por estar con nosotros en esta noche increíble. Ya saben que los quiero mucho. No se les olvide aquí con Luke y John. Pero muchas gracias por todo su apoyo mundial. Un abrazo.
Appreciate it. Appreciate it, Ralph.
Love, man.
Like everybody else.
Yeah, we appreciate you coming on. Well, I know you're busy. I know we threw this at you last minute. I hit him up, Ralph, on Monday. He says, "Let's do it. Let's get it going." So I appreciate you coming on.
Yeah,
I appreciate
really.
Stephanie hooking it up and Ed coordinating things in the background.
Yeah,
but it's all good. Next week we have Linda Vaughn, 28.
Yeah, I gotta get a hold of Vice Grip. I did not do that because I've been so busy getting my shop together. I'm gonna get a hold of Vice Grip tomorrow and ask him if it's all right if we move him.
The week after we got Steve Darnell from Vegas
Welder
Rat
Rock.
Rides. Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
nice.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
I have the list somewhere here. I forget who else is on there, but we're all good. The other thing I wanted to talk about, but we didn't get to, is Hot Rod Power Tour. And today's the first day at Carlisle, Spring Carlisle, but we'll talk about that.
We also got some possible guests that we're talking to: Stacy David, Bill Goldberg, and Brian Johnson, AC/DC. But we're not going to talk to him about AC/DC if we get him on. We want to know about his car passion. That's what's
he's a big time car guy.
Yeah, he's a big time car guy. And we're also trying to get a hold of Mario Andretti for you guys who are still listening in. So just keep in mind, we got a lot of stuff going down. And also, don't forget, Barrett Jackson is June 17th to the 19th. And if everything works out, we're going to do a podcast. And you know what? If we get it to work, we could have Ralph do the Spanish leg of the podcast. And we can sit there and go, yeah.
Ed's going to be there. Ed's in. He's dying. Ed's like, I'm in. I'm going.
And I'll wear a cool hat. I got a couple other hats.
By then, I'll get you your Gorin Bros hat already. Don't worry. just make sure you text Stephanie the size.
I'm 7 5/8. Steph, if you're listening, 7 5/8 is where I'm at. Lou, he's probably an 8.5. A big head he has.
No, I think I'm like this is
Yo, look at the size of that head.
This one is 7 3/8 and it's snug.
Yeah.
I know.
Yeah, you're probably 5'8".
7 3/4, I guess.
Yeah.
This podcast was brought to you by Gorin Bros. Like,
there you go.
Oh, we love it. Life is great.
All right, appreciate it. We're over by 13, 14 minutes at this point. So we got
it. We got it in. We got it all in. All right, everybody. So here's the deal. Thanks, Ralph, for coming on. Ralph Holguin. And great story. Appreciate it. It's just phenomenal that you came and joined us. John, I'll talk to you later. I got to go start my phone up. I had to plug it in because it was dead. Everybody, like I said, next week, we got Linda Vaughn and Vice Grip. I'm sorry. I will be calling you tomorrow and see if we can't move you around. It's just one of those things. She's a legend, and we got to take care of the legends because we're running out of them. We got to create new ones, you guys. Every day is a learning day. Every day is a school day. Gene Winfield said that last week. Thanks for tuning in. Till next week, Lou Santiago, John Galante, Ralph, thanks a lot. We'll see you guys later.
Thanks. Have a good one. Later, guys.
Later.
There you go.
Garage.